taking a peek at the infotainment system inside of the Volvo XC40. This is the only option that's available inside the vehicle. So 9-inch screen that does also feature Google Maps, so factory navigation built in. And that's because this is essentially a full Android device. So it's based off of the Android operating system, which gives you amazing features like actual YouTube viewing. But before I get there are a lot of things you have to know. So along the very top, if you've got an active data connection for the vehicle, which you need in order to use all of the Google connected services, if there was a phone wirelessly charging, that's also going to show up there. So it should disappear in just a second. There we go. And then with a phone on the wireless charge pad, it just gives you a little heads up and a little notification letting you know that your phone is actively being charged. You've got the current time. Bottom part of the tray is going to get you either to this little split view or back to whatever app you are currently launched into. This is a little camera button, so you can see what's going on around you, so full 360 view. But if you push this 360 view, it lets you zoom in to individual spots. So you can zoom into the front side, zoom into the back. It's really neat. And honestly, the quality of the camera, well, the cameras, all of the ones here, are amazing. So you've got your full 360 view. You can push along the top there in order to adjust your volume as you get closer to obstacles, so the beeping that you get, if that drives you nuts, you could toggle it off. You've got your wheel guidelines there as well as you go to twist the wheel when you're in reverse. So we go into reverse for a second there. There we go. So you can see your wheel guidelines. So as you go to rotate, you can see which direction you're actually facing there. So it's pretty useful. Get rid of your camera. There's a button there in order to jump into the option for driver's heated seat and the heated steering wheel. And that's 3 levels for the driver and for the passenger side. There's also this option, all of your climate choices. So you can see there, you've got your max defroster, rear window defroster, air conditioning, air circulation. Do you want this going to your face, feet, some sort of combination of all of the above? What speed do you want the fan to be set at? Takes a second to kick in. That's pretty nice. It's dual zone climate control, so it can be different for the driver than passenger. You can sync up the passenger side to whatever the driver's side set up to, and then drop down from there. So it's very straightforward being able to adjust up the climate. You can push along the top right side in order to get to a few other options. So when you go to start the vehicle up, so remote start, do you want the driver's heated seat to be turned on, yay or nay, and at what level? Same idea with the steering wheel, defroster, and things like that. Along the very bottom right side, you can push the little gear icon to get into a boatload of different settings. And then the only other one to point out, you've got this little thing along the very top. Oh, not that. That's not what we're looking for. This. Swipe down. But that gives you the option of looking at your driving journal, car status, so if there are any notifications for the vehicle, but you can push there in order to get into individual profiles. One of the benefits there is that if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, you can set up a profile to remember all of your settings, so it can remember all of your presets for the radio. If you have different apps downloaded to the device, it's going to let you remember absolutely everything. It's amazing. So it does take a second in order to actually go through and being able to set it up. There we go. So you can connect all of the different options that are available there. It's pretty neat. And swiping down again, that brings you back to all of the available profiles. And then you can easily jump in between. So like I said, very useful if you've got more than one person driving the vehicle, so it can remember all of your individual settings, and it can easily adjust it out by going that way instead. Really neat. But you do have Google Maps here. Love it. And you do have full pinch to zoom capabilities, fairly responsive there, which is nice. You can recenter it back on you. You could hit there if you wanted to search using your voice. You can hit the voice command prompt if you wanted to search using your voice instead. You can hit the little search icon in order to search for addresses this way. You can just start typing in an address, give it a second in order to autocomplete. You can also search by latitude, longitude, so by your GPS coordinates. You can also go by point of interest icons. So if you wanted to search for, nice and Canadian of me, a Tim Hortons, let's go for one a bit further away. I'll show you why. So you can see there, if a phone was connected, you could call. You would also have the option of either starting or hitting this little split view to see different routes that were available. And then you just select, and as you can see there, we're now going on a route. So you could hit the X icon if you wanted to cancel the route. You could go back to this screen if you wanted to jump between different options again. So which route options? You can even go route options. Like, do you want to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that? So all of the necessary options. And then you'd also have the flexibility of, if we go there, X out to alternate routes, search. So let's say if you wanted to do a stop beforehand, maybe you needed to fill up on gas before you go to Tim Hortons, you could then select something that's easy and convenient along the way. So a little bit of a detour there, add in the stop, and there we go. And one really nice thing is that, yeah, it's going to show up inside of the infotainment system, but it also shows up right inside of the cluster screen too. So you've got your full turn-by-turn directions there. You could just go to a calming screen instead, so just get your basic turn-by-turns, but having full map and cluster, I think that looks pretty cool. From there, you could X out if you wanted to either remove the next stop or exit navigation completely. So you hit X, and that's just getting rid of navigation, so all the routes that we went to. You could then search for an address, and you can see all of your previously saved destinations there, categories saved, etc. If you were logged into your Gmail account, you'd also be able to see all of your previously searched for addresses right inside of the screen as well. So if you tend to search for Google addresses on your phone, whether that's Android or iPhone devices, sign in, and it's going to show you all of your previous history. It's amazing. Pushing the gear icon lets you avoid certain things on your route, showing traffic, and a number of other things. It's really useful using navigation. One really cool thing though, you've got full YouTube support inside the vehicle. And that's not only for audio playback, that's also for video playback too. So you could search. Oh, guess it helps if I. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Cars with Steve. That's what I'm looking for. So you can see there. Click through, and you've got full video playback.
Whether that's a car, truck, or SUV is a very straightforward process. In this video, I'm going to show you how the paddle shifters work.
Great video on how to actually use paddle shifters, like manual mode and things like that. If you've never used it before, check down in the description of the video for how that works, but it is a really neat process at the same time. And then it's got typical YouTube support. So all of the different YouTube features, you can adjust the quality, the speed, captions, debug notice, and things like that. It's really cool. You can only watch video when the vehicle is parked, but still, it is really nice that you've got full video playback capabilities inside of the screen. There's a driving journal so you can see what your driving habits are like, messages if your phone was connected, Bluetooth media players available, so same idea, if your phone was connected, you wanted to listen to Bluetooth audio, you could. If you had a SiriusXM subscription, that would be available there as well. You've got your radio options there too. And radio, so many different options. So this essentially is all of the stations based off of your geographic area. So if you're new to an area and not sure what you're able to listen to, pull it up and you can see there all of the options. And then some of them are starred out. So these are your favorites. So you can go through and you can easily delete, or you can add in any station that you want to. Saves it under your favorite tab as well. One nice thing, you can use the voice command prompt. Tune to 94.9 FM.
All right, here's 94.9 FM.
So you can have it remember, you can change stations that way if you want to, which is amazing. But you can also push the icons along the right side, the buttons I should say on the right side, in order to jump between all of the available stations there too. So I love that you can at least use your voice to do it that way. That's what I would tend to do, but that's a matter of preference. And you can see all of the station information available. Save that station as well if you want to. Really straightforward. And like I said, you can easily delete. Under your favorites, you can see all of your stations there as well. Really neat. Can you do a drag? No. Oh, that's a drag. Oh, that's one thing that I would have liked to have seen is the flexibility to be able to adjust these out, but still, it at least shows them in order, which is nice. But that's using the radio. It's straightforward. And then this is a full Android device. So you've got Spotify and so many other apps that are available. So before I show you connecting a phone, I actually want to show you this. So actually, if we go into our Play Store, you can sign into your Gmail account. So it should, yeah, perfect, there we go. So scan a QR code. So all you're gonna do is pull up your phone, you're gonna scan that QR code, and then from there, it's going to launch you into being able to log in. So on your phone, you're just gonna log in with whatever account you want to. Okay, there we go, and it's logging me in. Do I want to log into the car? Yes, I want to log in. And this is why, watch this. Okay, so I'm logged in there. Just gonna hit done. Look at that. Full Google Play Store capabilities, but look at all the options. You can download Waze to the vehicle if you wanted to. You can use Angry Birds for mobile. It is amazing. So hold on, I'm going to install a few things and then we'll get back to them as we go. But let's do this. You got to do Angry Birds as well. So you can use some of these things specifically when you're parked. So pass the time while you're parked, but you can look through, and there are so many different apps that are available. It's wild. If you like listening to Amazon Music, that's available. Like so many different options. It's amazing. But that's where logging in really comes into play. Now that I'm logged in here, if I was searching for addresses, you can look at all of your previously saved addresses that way too. It's really, really neat. And then adding in a phone in the vehicle, straightforward. So you're just going to hit phone there. No phone's connected. So just going to go connect, pair new device. And then on the phone there, we're looking for, so we're going to go iPhone 14. Do we want to connect for phone and for media? Yeah, let's do them both. And there we go. That's what I'm waiting for. So the pins match up. So let's pair that. Do I want to allow access to contacts and favorites to sync up? I'm going to say no to that one just because it's not my vehicle. This is a press vehicle. But you can see there, connected. Boom. Yeah, it's going to ask you if you want to do that. Yay, nay. Obviously, if this was your vehicle, I would say yes there, but fully connected now. So you could push this if you wanted to share your internet connection with the vehicle. You can edit the device. So if you wanted to delete it as well, and then hopping back out, you've got the phone connected. You can look at your favorites, recent contacts. You've got your dial pad. You can push the little gear icon for your start screen. So when you first launch into your phone, do you want your favorites showing up, your recents, contacts, or your keypad instead? And then how do you want your contacts organized? But straightforward. Now, one nice thing is that the vehicle does have support for Apple CarPlay, but it's a wired connection. And you need to make sure that you're using a USB Type-C device. So it doesn't have support for USB Type-A down the center stack. It's strictly Type-C. And you need to make sure that it's a data transfer cable as well. But all you're going to do is use the USB port on the left-hand side. So you're just plugging yourself in. And then opposite end of the cable, you're just plugging yourself into your phone. And it should take a second there. There we go. Do you want to allow CarPlay while the phone is locked? Yes, you definitely want to make sure you allow that. It should take a second there. Actually, wonder if we have to hop out into CarPlay. There we go. Okay, look at that. Full Apple CarPlay support. Really straightforward using it. You can push the little icon there in order to get to this view, back to the icon view, but you can easily swipe across if you wanted to. Along the bottom tray, you've got the current time, which map was opened last, which audio application was opened, which miscellaneous application was last opened, and then you've got your current connection level as well. You do have support for Apple Maps, Google Maps, and Waze, responsive, but there's no pinch to zoom capabilities, unfortunately. You can move in and out this way on the Apple side. Search for addresses, previous destinations. Google Maps is the same thing. So on Apple CarPlay specifically, there's no pinch to zoom capability, but you can pinch in and out. You can go in and out this way if you want to. Search for addresses. You can also hit the gear icon to avoid route options. So highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that. You've got your traffic volumes and things like that. The one application I love using though is Waze. Such a useful one. It works the same way as every other map application, but when you go to zoom out, or when you're as you go to drive, it lets you know of different obstacles along the way. If there were police along the way, things like that, it would let you know. And if you see a cop along the way, you can also mark it off. Do you see a cop? Do you see a crash, hazards, block lanes, bad weather, and things like that? I love using Waze. It's my favorite map application inside the vehicle. There are all sorts of audio applications. So do you love listening to podcasts? That's available. Do you prefer to listen to Hoopla? So that's a library app. Live One's a radio app. There are so many different options available. And one nice thing on the Apple side, you've got the flexibility to customize the screen. So you can go into your general settings, CarPlay, find your vehicle. You can allow CarPlay while the phone is locked, yay or nay. You can customize or forget. We're going for customize. Because let's say if you're a big fan of listening to podcasts and you love using Waze and you want those two along the top, you've got the flexibility to do it. But you can also delete. So let's say if you wanted to delete certain apps, like you don't want to use Waze, you don't want to use your podcasts or your audiobooks, you can remove them. They're still on the bottom of the screen though, so you can hit the little plus button to add them back in. But if you've done too much, you're not a fan of the layout, on your phone, there's a reset button. So you're just going to go reset, reset, and that brings it back to the factory default screen there instead. Straightforward. Now, you can push the little button along the bottom there to get back to the screen. You can hit phone, Bluetooth is off. And the reason why is because Apple CarPlay is essentially like a Wi-Fi connection instead. So Wi-Fi or USB. So you don't have the flexibility of using Bluetooth simultaneously. So what you're going to do, hit the little swap icon there, and you can see there, Bluetooth is disabled because we're plugged in. But if we unplug, it automatically turns itself back on. And now it's got you connected over Bluetooth on your phone for phone calls and for audio. So you can either be hooked up through Apple CarPlay or strictly for your audio and phone calls that way instead. So it's essentially one or the other. But that's how you hook up Apple devices inside of the Volvo XC40. Setting up an Android device is the exact same process. So if you weren't on the screen, all you're going to do, hop back into your phone, but the iPhone's connected. So we're just going to go swap and we're back on the screen and just going to go pair new device. And on your phone, just going to wait for it to pop up. There we go, available device. Do you want it hooked up for phone and media? I'm going to say yes for this one. It should take a second there. There we go. Pin numbers, they match up. So we're going to hit OK there. And there we go. Do I want to allow access to my messages and contacts? Again, not my vehicle, so I'm going to say no to that one. And you can always change that though if you wanted to. So we're fully connected. Now, one nice thing there, you just go back. You can go into your phone there, connected to the S9 Plus, so the other phone, you can dial in, look at your contacts, you can swap out phones that way as well. One cool thing is that if you wanted to, you could be hooked up to one phone for your audio and one for your phone. So you can kind of do a little mix and match here. It's either Apple CarPlay or the Bluetooth connection. You can't do both of them simultaneously, but it is kind of nice. You can kind of do a mix and match there instead. Now, one unfortunate thing is that the vehicle does not support Android Auto. So it's strictly going to be Apple CarPlay, or you'd have all of your Android functions this way instead. So you could hook yourself up over Bluetooth, and then you can use all of the other Android functions. So as of right now in the Play Store, I've got Waze that I opened up and installed. So you can see there, launching into Waze. So that's available there. And then you've got all of the other apps that we've added in. So I believe I also added in Angry Birds. Let's see if that's going to play. There we go. So you're essentially using Android or most Android devices or functions, I should say, inside of the screen this way. So like I said, unfortunate part is that you don't have the flexibility of actually using Android Auto, but you'd still have the flexibility to be able to play games and things like that using this instead. So that is pretty nice because you still do, like I said, have all of the available Android functions there instead. But that's how you connect a phone inside the vehicle. Hopping back at phone, if you go to swap, you could then go edit devices, delete, forget, delete, forget, and that's how you add and remove devices from the Volvo XC40. Okay. And then hopping back home, got Apple CarPlay there, which we've already seen, and you've also got Google Assistant, so you can do that if you want to. Again, pushing the voice command prompt does the exact same thing. You can see your current car status, so you can see everything what's going on. So you can see oil, what your oil level's looking like, maintenance if that needs to be done, tire pressure, things like that as well. Moving back, you can also see the current air quality there as well. So as of right now, we're good. So there is an active particulate filter inside the vehicle. There's the Play Store and then fully digital owner's manual with all the information that you need. So you can see different things. So if you need to know how often you have to go for oil changes, you can search for that one. If you wanted to search for something like your octane rating, if you're filling up fuel, you're like, what do I have to use? Minimum manufacturer's recommendation is 91 octane. So, straightforward using this. It's nice. You can go back home this way instead. But that's, nice and simple. And then next up is going to be the settings icon where there are quite a few things. So starting off with driving assistance, you can do the off-road drive mode instead if you want to. So hill descent controls available there and a few others. Pilot assist as a default. So when you go to put on your adaptive cruise control system, it's going to turn on pilot assist. You could turn that on or off. So pilot assist essentially is going to be not self-driving, but the vehicle keeps you nice and balanced in your lane as you're driving. But you do have the flexibility to turn it off. I always just recommend turning it on. It's a really useful setting. The lane keeping aid. So if you start to veer over into a lane without signaling, going to nudge you back into your lane. Do you want to get your road sign information inside of the cluster screen? I think that's kind of useful, but that one's going to be a matter of personal preference there. Ready to drive notification when you go to start the vehicle up. How do you want the steering wheel to feel? Firm is pretty nice. From there, you've got different options for your sound. Do you want to optimize for the driver specifically, everybody, or people in the back? delete. Oh, that's kind of cool. You can turn off the audio specifically for the back or the front too. Do you want surround sound? How do you want to adjust your treble, mid-range, and bass? Those are all really high. So what I normally recommend is treble up a few points. I found that's good. Bass cranked a few, and then subwoofer balanced out there. That, in my experience, tends to give pretty good audio inside the vehicle. There are different options for connectivity. Bluetooth, no paired devices, but that's where you could go in order to pair additional devices if you wanted to. There's also, we saw there, so vehicle SIM data. You do need to have an active data connection to use some of the features in the vehicle. And then there's Wi-Fi available, so you can see different Wi-Fi networks if they were available for updates and things like that. Looking at different controls, you can fold the rear headrest there by pushing that button. There's wiper service position, so it's going to lock your wipers up. You can have your exterior mirrors tilt when you're in reverse, so if you hop yourself into reverse there, see that the mirrors automatically tilt down, which is kind of neat. I find that one to be useful, but I mean, obviously if you're not a fan, you don't have to use it. From there, back into settings, controls. Let's see, do you want your mirrors auto dimming? Useful if you have people later on at night that are flashing their high beams at you. You can toggle the wireless charger on or off. Rear seat reminder, so if those back doors are open and then shut, rear seat reminder when you go to turn the vehicle off, reminds you to check those back seats. Let's see, when you go to unlock the door using the fob, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? Do you want the sunroof to auto close? For the display, what information do you want showing up? So you can see there's basic information, so you can set it automatically, manually, etc., or have nothing showing up along the bottom part of the cluster screen. You can adjust the brightness on the inside, and then welcome lighting when you walk up to the vehicle. Profile information. Again, this is where we're going in order to adjust out our profiles. So if you have multiple people driving, that's where you're going. You saw earlier, you can also access it along the very top there as well. You can connect a key, locks, and things like that, specifically for the individual profile. Different privacy information. So do you want to share your location data? Yay, nay. Privacy settings, nothing overly exciting here. You could share different things with Volvo if you wanted to. I normally just recommend keeping those things all turned off. Microphone usage, yay, nay. Google legal information. There's nothing overly exciting here. And then you can see all of your app information there, how much data they're currently using. And then you can also adjust all of the permissions for each individual app as well. So what information are they or are they not allowed to access? Basic Google information there. Look at ad manager. Uh-oh. So there might be ads. I personally haven't seen any ads yet, but it is a little troubling that that's there. You can manage your controls, again, just by scanning through in order to do it. Send feedback to Google as well. And then this other one, so the useful one, information, languages and input. What language do you want this to be in? So English, Spanish, French, you can select so many different languages. It's one of the nice things about it being based off of the Google Android system. Do you want it auto-filling, yay or nay? What do you want the keyboard to be? Do you want it to be able to support text-to-speech as well? And then text-to-speech, how fast or slow do you want it going? Do you want to adjust the date and time automatically, yay or nay? So these things are grayed out because you're in the auto mode, but if you were in the manual mode, you could manually set the date or time. If you prefer to use military time instead, or your traditional 12-hour mode, back out. You've also got units, and that's going to be for your different measurement units. And when you do that, it's going to change what's going on inside of the cluster screen. So you can go empirical versus US. So you can see there, we're jumping between miles, kilometers per hour, etc. So you can adjust that out if you want to. And because this is a digital cluster, it adjusts all of the necessary information out as well. You can go between Celsius or Fahrenheit, and that's adjusting what's going on the bottom of the screen. On top of that, prefer metric, I'm in Canada. All of those options are good for me. So it is kind of nice that it adjusts everything out. Security updates, yay, nay, about information. There's accessibility, software updates, captions are available there. And then reset options with a few different things. So you can do a full factory reset. You can reset app preferences, reset Wi-Fi, mobile, etc. So if the screen's giving you options or issues, I should say, with your mobile connections, with Bluetooth and things like that, start with a reset that way. And then you can just do a full factory reset there instead. Basic legal information, it's nothing overly exciting. So I know that's quite a lot of information. And the only other thing to point out is this little button down here. So you push that, and that's kind of like a hot button tray to go to a few different things. So you could hot button press in order to get into your maps, your phone if one was connected, in car, there you go, your air quality there as well. So it's kind of neat that you've got that available. You can temporarily pause the radio there if you want to, or hop back into maps. Now, I know that's a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the infotainment system inside of Volvo vehicles.